And I would just like to thank you, Ryan, for your commitment to sustainability on and off campus. I'm so happy to be highlighting your initiative and environmental impact on the Humber community. And to begin, I'd just like to get a better idea of the tasks that you're responsible for at Humber.
Sure. Well, let me start off by saying I'm very happy to be here and to share some of my thoughts. This particular topic is very important to me, and I know it's important to a number of other individuals. So my role at Humber is Director of Digital Solutions, which is a fancy way of saying that the team and I are passionate about finding ways in which we can work smarter and faster and better. So we take technology and supporting capabilities and blend them all together to find ways of solving problems within the organization. And we have a pretty passionate team that looks at a variety of ways in which we struggle as an organization and comes up with creative ways in which we could perhaps do something differently or use use a technology that might help us in a way that we haven't considered in the past, or explore some new innovation and see if it has some applicability to Humber and the challenges that Humber faces. So we're passionate about delivering results that help solve problems and really make dreams come true. Because you think about it, students are coming to Humber looking to get a credential that's going to lead to a bigger and better thing, right? So that's why we're here, and that's why we do what we do.
That's excellent. Thank you. So, if you could just give me an idea of the career choices that you've made that have led to where you are today. So, whether that be your past work experience, past volunteer experience, how are you where you are today?
Well, to be honest, have reinvented myself a couple of different times. I graduated from Humber quite a while ago, and had plans to go take on the big bad world. I was asked to stay back and do some part-time teaching and serve as an educational assistant. I did that for a period of time, and then realized that I wanted to do some other things, and so switched over to the IT department, where I thought I could make even more of a difference. And that led to a variety of different roles where I moved out of the support wing of the organization to now the what we're calling the digital solutions wing of the organization, which is again trying to find solutions to complicated problems. So I have found over time that where I'm most happy is where I can make a difference to a large number of individuals on a substantial basis, right? So I want to be doing things that are different or new, or that break the mold, so to speak. I want to be doing things that have an impact, and are going to leave Humber in a better place than I found it, right? Because as a student, I knew what the pain was. As an instructor, I knew where the pain was. As a member of the support staff working in the IT organization, I knew where the pain was. As a junior leader, now as a senior leader, I know where the pain is. And again, I just want everyone to be successful in whatever it is that they have on their plates to do. And if we can remove barriers and help people get there faster, easier, less expensive way, that's a good thing.
That's awesome. I love that you were able to kind of take your own experiences and kind of return the favor, if you will, to those coming in. And maybe you've sparked some interest in someone that will eventually do the same.
I hope so. I think that we're only limited by our own imagination, right? And so the job that you're in right now does not have to be the job that you're in forever. I think that you look at your career as a series of steps, and when it's time to move on, you'll know, and then that's the time to take on something bigger and better. But you shouldn't confuse success with happiness, right? Like, you need to keep growing and pushing yourself to achieve your personal best.
Absolutely. And as you know, sustainability is one of Humber's values. So, how do you address this in the work that you do?
Yeah, so sustainability is not something in my mind that you do when you think about it, or when you have time. It's one of the things that should be part of every decision that you're making all of the time, right? So we've only got one Earth, And so if you use it all up, then what have you got left? So the way I approach this is that when we're making decisions, they have to be decisions that we can live with, not just in the short term, but the long term. And where we've got situations where we're not doing what I think we should be doing, then I think there's an opportunity to suggest ways in which we can do something different. I think there are ways in which we can model different ways of doing things. I think there are ways in which we can push people to think about how they might consider what they're doing differently, and whether or not it's needed, right? So case in point, for me, printing is a big issue because I look at the amount of paper that goes through all the various machines on campus, and I've run metrics and shared these with a college, and it's quite startling how much printing we do as an organization. So for me, one of the things I've been looking at is how do we get away from paper? Can we go to a paperless environment? And I truly think we can. And so I've been trying to model the whole idea of you don't need paper in your life. You can do everything that you need to do without producing any paper. And so I've challenged myself and others to look at things differently and get away from it. Now, for situations where you do need to print, there are ways in which you can do it more environmentally sound, like using both sides of the page, to only doing it in monochrome when the situation arises, to only printing as many copies as you absolutely require, to having some kind of hold and release mechanism so that you trap your own errors before they make it to the printer and become committed, right? So there's little things that you can do, but what I really want to see is us move away from things. So if I could, indulge me for just one moment, one of the things that the team is doing right now is implementing an e-signature solution. So right now, a lot of paper moves around the organization for signatures. So the team right now is working on an initiative whereby we would use software, a tool called DocuSign, that would eliminate the need for us to move paper around the organization. Essentially, whatever you need signed would be sent around using this tool, and an electronic signature would be applied to the document, not a physical signature right now. So this prevents us from having to print something, to sign something, to scan something, to email it back to somebody who then goes and prints it off and signs it, and then emails it to somebody else who prints it off and then puts it in a filing cabinet, and then we keep it there until we think we might need it again, which often is never, or when we do, it's hard to find. We think we can do that better and eliminate the need for paper in that type of a use case.
Yeah, and I mean, even just in the situation right now where majority of people are working from home, that's so important. Even
Absolutely.
if just from an accessibility standpoint, not everybody has a printer. So you've already found that solution.
Yes, and it's actually faster too when you think about it, because it's paper doesn't get lost, and the ability to get people to action things is a lot faster when they see it as a tool in line with all the other work they're doing. But a few other things, like the tool that we're using right now, Microsoft Teams, that's just something that we put in because we wanted to see people collaborate without necessarily having to travel to meet one another, right? So if you have a meeting at Lakeshore, to come to North to do a meeting, to go all the way back to Lakeshore, for instance, doesn't make a lot of sense. Or if you're going to be a student, I'm happy to say that very shortly you will too have access to the Microsoft 365 suite of applications, and will have the same tools we're using here. Right. So going forward, again, the students won't need to come on campus to work with one another. They'll be able to exchange ideas the way you and I are dialoguing right now, and get things done in the virtual world, as opposed to having to physically meet on campus. Right. So even that is a small change where it's helpful. Now, we did have audio capabilities for the longest time, but there's research to suggest that an audio exchange is nowhere near as powerful as a visual exchange, right? So much gets lost when you don't have some of the visual cues. Like right now, as I'm talking, I can see you nodding, so I know that you understand what I'm saying, or that you're following along, and I haven't lost you in the conversation here. I would lose that if it was just an audio call, right? And I didn't have some of those inputs to know that I'm making sense, and that for probably a variety of reasons, this is all connecting with you right now. So it's another thing that we've done that I think is very powerful, that is helping to transform the way the organization works. As an example, one more thing is we implemented AppStream in the last couple of months, which means that students now have access to software from off campus that they traditionally have only had access to while being on campus. So again, that means students don't need to come onto campus in order to complete project work. They can work on their assignments and complete their studies from the comfort of their homes right now. And again, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing too. When you think about all the people who came in or stayed late evenings and weekends and tried to get things done in the computer labs, well, we don't need to do that anymore, right? We can do that from anywhere in the world on our own schedules. All you need is internet access and any device. And the solution we put in works on any platform, so be it Mac or Windows, and in any form factor, so tablet, smartphone, computer in the traditional sense, like a desktop or even a laptop, right? So very proud of the work the team has done to find ways in which we can help people to not use paper, to not have to travel in order to achieve what they're looking to achieve. As two just quick examples of some work that we've been doing to help promote sustainability in the college. Add to that our support, for, if I may be so bold, to support things like other initiatives, like how we support the work being done in facilities to make sure that the environmental controls are well looked after, and we accommodate for load in the buildings and timing and all that good stuff, right? So we're involved in a number of different things that I think are good from a sustainability perspective.
Wow, you are doing so much. You've answered my next question, so I'm just going to jump to the next, if that's okay.
Sure.
Are you a part of any environmental or social groups in your community? So this could be online. So this could be like activist groups, lobby groups. You could say no, but just curious if you kind of take the work off campus.
I have in the past.
Yeah.
I'm not currently doing that now because I find that my time is tugged in a number of different directions. I'm trying to make a difference at the local level, but for a number of years, I was a beaver leader within Scouts Canada, and part of our mission there was to help youth understand and appreciate their place in the world and their spot, at least as far as being good custodians of the world, and making sure that we do all the right things the right way for all the right reasons. And then from there, I moved on to group committee chair. So it was less about beavers and more about beavers, Cub Scouts, and Rovers. And then for a period of time, did a deputy area commissioner work for Mississauga. Again, just more work around trying to make sure that as an organization we had solid programs in place that delivered programs that youth could benefit from, and part of that is the environmental awareness. Like that's why we go on camping trips, and that's why we go and visit rescue places and all the good things that you would normally associate with scouting. And I did that for a good long time. I didn't even have kids in the program. I just did it because it felt like the right thing to do, and wanted to give back to the community, and feeling that this was a way to do it. And then when my role changed at Humber, then it felt that I needed to do something different, and so changed it up a little bit, and now focusing on how I can help Humber and a wider audience, including students in their quest to achieve their goals.
Well, I come from a Girl Guides of Canada background, so I can definitely relate to the impact that you made there. uh,
Alex.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying that that's wonderful. You know, those are wonderful organizations that I think are so powerful in being able to help people, and just a shout out to all the volunteers who participate in those organizations and are so passionate. You know, nobody who does scouting or guiding gets paid for what they do. They do it because they want to do it,
Yeah,
and because they believe in what they're doing. And I really respect people who take time out of their busy lives to mentor youth and help get them to a better place.
absolutely. Especially in like your similar situation where you said you didn't have kids in the program, you just did it just because it felt like the right thing to do, and I think that's super important. So, what advice do you have for someone who's interested in getting involved with environmental or social projects but just doesn't know where to begin?
I would say start local, right? What can you do right now that would make a difference? And sometimes it's the small things that add up to the big things, right? So what could you do within your classroom? What could you do within your office? What could you do within your home? Every little bit helps. And what I would say is that don't underestimate the power of one small change, right?
Mhm.
Because one small change leads to another change, which leads to another change, and then you create a culture of success. And the next thing you know, you're making a difference. Uh, I think sometimes, and I struggle with this too, is that we sometimes think that unless we're doing something really big right now, it's not worth it. And that's not how things change, right? Things change by moving something along in small increments, and then over time, it doesn't even feel like um, it's a big change because it's been a series of small things along the way. But once you get into the habit of making one small change, it becomes easier to make another and another and another,
Yeah.
right? And I would also say don't focus on everything. Maybe focus on the one thing that you think is really important now. And when you've got that figured out, then take on something else. And then when you've got that figured out, then take on something else, right? Um, Sometimes what I've seen is people take on too much, and then they feel overwhelmed, or they can't manage all the things all at the same time. It's akin to having too many balls in the air when you're trying to juggle.
Yeah.
So just like you need to crawl before you walk, and you need to walk before you run. I would say focus on what's most important now. Find that one thing, and then over time, by making small adjustments here and there, it adds up and will make a difference. So that's two. Three would be if you need help, and you feel comfortable, reach out to others who are already doing it, or leverage the abundance of resources that are available to people right now to help get you going. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's in many cases somebody who already is tackling this problem, and I would say that there's strength in numbers. And sometimes all you need is an ally to help get you started and moving, right? But all it takes is one person to make a difference, and sometimes that one person is you, right? So there may be times when you can't get help, but there should never be a time when you can't offer it.
Yeah.
And what I would also say is we all need a little bit more horsepower and a little less exhaust, right? So instead of pointing a finger, let's lend a hand and get going with what needs to happen. We all know what's right. It's just a question of doing it. And the right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing. So I would say that short-term pains, long-term gains. a series of incremental steps that'll get us there, and you'll be amazed at how quickly things start to change when you're the catalyst.
Oh, that's so important. Um, you've given such thought-provoking advice and ideas, and let me into all of the initiatives you're doing. Is there anything that you'd like to add at this time? Is there anything that I missed?
I would just like to say that Humber is a wonderful place to work,
Mm.
and it affords us many great opportunities, uh, both personally and professionally. But I would also say that um, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done,
Mm.
and I would encourage folks to stand up and look at what more we can do to make Humber even better than it is right now. So to be clear, it's a great place, and there's a lot going for it. But like any organization, there's always room for improvement, and I think that we as individuals, if we band together and think of ourselves as the Humber family that we are, and we look at what is important, there's nothing we can't tackle, right? I feel really strongly that there are so many talented and committed individuals. It's just a question of focusing our efforts on what we want to change. And I think there's good reason to look at sustainability and say, yeah, there's probably more we could do and should do and ought to do. And yes, it may not be always easy and fun and exciting, but it still needs to get done. And we're just the kind of people to do that work and be an example for other institutions. The only thing holding us back is ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Ryan, this concludes the interview. Again, on behalf of the Office of Sustainability in Humber, I would just like to thank you for letting me highlight your sustainability initiatives on campus. So thank you.
My pleasure.